It's around about 12 noon and we're going to kick off on our second chat.
Thanks, Dave. So in the last period, the four of us have undertaken little tasks that we're going to present today of some research and how we applied that using specific AI tools. And some of that is going to be in the format of videos we show you, and then we're going to have a little discussion about people's response to that.
Okay, so here's the first video.
It's very easy to get caught up in the complexities of AI. So today, we're keen for some of us to attempt to share as simply as possible some practical ways that independent artists can use Claude Co-work to make stuff that's useful and even artful. So firstly, by way of introduction, Claude is a chatbot, an AI-driven chatting robot. And these GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers, run on LLMs, large language models. And Claude GPT is the chatbot from a company called Anthropic, which was formed by former members of OpenAI who wanted to build AI that's safe, helpful, and genuinely collaborative. And they left OpenAI because they had concerns about safety issues and integrity issues. So they set up Anthropic, and Claude is their chatbot.
Quick intro for this video. This is a recording of Greg and I chatting. Greg is my husband. He works here on a Monday, so he's actually over in the corner. And I use him a lot as my business development advisor. But his background is IT. He's currently a CTO, and he's worked in mostly finance.
I'm glad you agreed to have this conversation, because we have lots of conversations about my work and my business, and I value that input from you. So Dave Brown asked me to do a "What are you making on" episode. And instead of doing what he asked, which is talk about a show or a project I'm working on, I talked about the big thing I was working on for the year, and that is sort of how I do my business. So what is the practice I have? And I spoke to that. Then Dave's asked for a kind of show and tell of how I'm using AI, and instead of answering that question, I'm going to go back to the same kind of points around what I'm doing right now is actually trying to work out the best way to do things. So the best way for us to be using AI and other tools to free up the time so I can spend more time making.
Yeah.
And you and I have lots of conversations about this, and it applies in the business you're in as well.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of crossover between what you do and what I do, even though we're in completely different fields. We both need to manage our time, and we both need to prioritise tasks and do all sorts of things that are the same.
And so you're looking at tools and systems and processes and repeatable processes, and I'm trying to do the same, but that's not how I started, because when I started looking at AI tools and particularly using Claude, it was out of desperation. It was, a deadline is coming, or I just have too much to do. And so I fell into the trap that I think lots of people do when they start trying to get it to help you with tasks or even replace you to do a task. And then it doesn't perform quite as well as you want. And then you're in this loop of feeling like maybe I should have just done the task.
Yeah.
But I was quite keen to really learn and understand how to do that better, because I can see the potential in particularly repeatable tasks of taking those off my plate. But what I've really learned is a lot around how to write better prompts, but particularly the thinking around how to be using tools, the AI tools. And that thinking change is from it's going to help me finish a task to I'm still responsible for my own thinking and my own work, but I have in my pocket now a range of people or personalities that can help me question my thinking, that can help with questioning what kind of research I'm looking at. So taking it away from help me do a task to maybe support my thinking and make sure that I'm learning more. And I'm, so I feel like it's not about a task or a tool for a task. It's about making me even better
It's about magnifying your own
thinking
capabilities rather than replacing any specific thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fairly common thing over the last couple of years. We've had an evolution where we're going through essentially a chatbot that people started using, where they were talking to it like it was just question answer kind of response scenario, to starting to put together better prompts so that we're getting more useful answers because we're giving it more information so that it can return better information to us. More recently, I think as we get more and more advanced, we're getting more and more knowledgeable about setting up the processes of making the AI tools work better for us. So we've gone beyond prompting now into setting up the context in the background. So we might do things like saying, I've got a GPT that is set up for content writing, and so it's got a set of guidelines that it needs to follow, which we're specifying so that it produces content with a brand voice and a persona that is in line with what we want it to do, versus something like we might have another one set up for a business coach, which will give us more strategic items.
Those two are examples of things that I'm trying to put into place, but just go back a step and tell us what a GPT is.
So a GPT is a way to limit the range of responses that you'll get from the agent.
It's like giving it a specialty, right? It's like saying here's your special skill set and this is what you're good at.
Yeah. So that in itself is another point for context for it, in that now it knows how it's going to respond when you're asking that specific thing.
I think for me, it's also, now that I've been trying to map out can I say agents instead of GPTs? Are they the same thing?
They're sometimes used interchangeably.
Okay, so I say agents and you say GPTs generally.
Yeah, sure. So agent also can mean that it has agency,
okay.
Which means that it can go and perform tasks, and it's not just the large language model.
Okay, so accepting that I might say the wrong word, I think I've been mapping these out and going, what do I want or need? What do I feel like my practice needs right now? And that's how we came up with things like content writer and business coach as some of the kind of personality characteristics. And you're saying it helps it have a set of like memory, knowledge, boundaries over its specialty, but yes. I also then ask it questions with that in mind, instead of having a really broad question or really broad conversation with Claude where I'm expecting it to be able to answer things from all those many angles. I can specifically ask the questions. So it actually helps me compartmentalize the conversations that I'm having and being a bit more specific, which again is helpful. The more specific I am, the more helpful it is for the response that I'm going to get back.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's
and I think it's pretty straightforward to connect the dots with the next stage of things, which is that we're having these agents set up with specific skill sets that are now we're putting into like Claude Coworkers as an example, where you've got multiple agents that are basically running like a team. And like from an IT perspective, whenever we would do a project, what we would do is we'd send out a project manager. There might be a product owner, there might be a developer involved, a business analyst, technical writer, all those different skill sets. Rather than just going, here Claude, you go and do all of those things, it's now sectioned up into those different agents so that they can work together for the end result.
And again, I'm smaller and I'm still looking at it going, maybe I need help writing content for a social post or for a small, a small thing, but I'm still not saying write the thing for me. I want to write it and then want to ask my content writer to go, is this
critique this for me?
Is this appealing in this kind of way? Does it do this kind of job? So it's still a real shift from thinking it's going to do the job. Yeah. It's going to replace something and just free up time in that way.
Yeah.
More so, I think it helps you learn to do the things better, and broadens your knowledge.
Yeah, and it's a skill that has to be learned to get the best out of the tool, because if you know to go back to it, and when you're asking that question, you might be saying things like, give me the top 3 things that are missing from the content that I've created, and it'll go, oh, there's a gap here, there's a gap there. So rather than just saying, make my document better, you might be finding those gaps, or because the language model is set up to be as agreeable as possible. So it's just going to tell you that it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the first time around.
And it makes mistakes.
And it does make mistakes, and it makes mistakes because it does try to solve the problems for you, and it will make it up if it doesn't know.
I love that they use the word
is.
hallucinate as the term for when it makes things up. I feel like we're going to need to wrap up, so I'm going to end with this quote from a podcast I watched that I thought was, a video I watched that I thought was really good. And the quote, and I shared this with you: if you're in a car with a drunk genius, make sure that you're the one driving. And that related to, it does hallucinate, it does make mistakes, but also like you still need to be the person learning and growing and being in control, and you have this drunk genius along with you, but you still need to be aware.
That's right.
Beginning the conversation, I think Bianca was saying, I had to learn this and then I applied it, and all that time I spent on it, I could have actually just done it myself. And that totally resonates with me, like with any new skill, whether it's learning how to video edit or use Canva. That initial period is really quite hard and clunky until you start to get really familiar with it.
I agree with you. I thought what was most interesting to me was that you spoke about how you reshifted your thinking around. It's not just a task doer, but you used it to broaden your thinking and broaden your learning and your knowledge gaps. That was really interesting.
Today I want to show you how I used Claude Cowork to create an interactive flipbook, something I could never have made on my own. But first, I should let you know why I wanted to make this flipbook. Some of you will know that over 6 years ago, John Bode, who's an opera singer, comedian and an actor, and I've known him for over 30 years, John Bode and I began an open-ended creativity experiment designed to track the progress of making something out of nothing. After a 5-year odyssey, this experiment of ours became a 14-episode podcast series called sevenwell.org, In the Process of Making.
We are in the process of making, in the process of making, in the process of making something from nothing.
And because this has been such an in-depth and compelling project, for us at least, it keeps spawning companion projects as we delve deeper and deeper into the way artists engage with their creative yearnings. So over the holidays, I started thinking about creating a coffee table book entitled The Compendium of Seventological Sunshine. The idea was that this book could draw inspiration from our infatuation with the number 7 and give an alternative life to a lot of the material that we've accumulated over the last 6 years. Anyway, over the holidays, I put some rough images together, some rough ideas. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could put this content together in some kind of online flipbook while I was developing this coffee table book idea? Then in late January this year, I heard about vibe coding, the idea that's being hailed as a fundamental shift in how we interact with technology. Instead of learning code, you just describe what you want in plain language, and the AI codes it for you, it builds it for you. This vibe coding is a democratizing of software creation, because I'm not a coder, I'm a theatre maker. I've been making work for young audiences for over 40 years, but I've never written a line of code in my life. So what you're going to be seeing is Claude Cowork doing the coding for me, prompted by me asking it to do certain things. Think of it as me having a conversation with someone who can actually code things while I talk to it. So I opened up Claude Cowork and I said, Claude, I've got these images I've created and I want to turn them into an interactive flipbook that works in a browser. Can you help me make that? And Claude came back with questions. What size should the pages be? Do you want navigation buttons? Should it make a sound when the pages turn? How do you want people to move through it? And so I fed my answers back to Claude and we started working it out together. So Claude created this HTML flipbook viewer. I gave it my images and suddenly I had a working prototype. I mean, this happened within 15 minutes of me beginning. But here's where it got really exciting. Once I had the basic flipbook working, I started thinking, what else could this do? So I asked Claude, could we add a page turn sound? You know, that satisfying paper rustle? Absolutely, Claude said. And it set about writing the code. Then I thought, what if I want to use my own sound? Because the sound that Claude gave me wasn't all that flash. So Claude added that feature. Then I thought, wow, maybe I could use that audio idea in other ways. Could I attach little song snippets to individual pages so that when you're on a certain page, you could play a bit of music?
Weet-Bix is a 7-letter word.
Done. Claude added audio playback buttons to the pages. Each time I'd think of something new, I'd just ask, could you add this? And Claude would figure it out. Now, it wasn't always perfect on the first try. Sometimes something wouldn't work quite right or wouldn't work at all. And so I'd take a screenshot, explain what wasn't working. The pages aren't sizing correctly on my screen, or the audio button is covering the image. And Claude would troubleshoot it, find the issue, fix the code. It was fast. It was fun. It felt like having a really patient, really knowledgeable collaborator and super fast coder who never got frustrated with my questions. And here's what we ended up with. It's a fully interactive flipbook viewer. Open up my flipbook viewer. Let's go 15 images. I drag and drop the pages in, and immediately they appear. And you can see I can enlarge the image or make it small. So I'm going to make it as large as I can. And then I can flip through the pages. These are some of the pages that I've created just as examples. Now I can turn that to a full screen. I can manage the pages. So if I wanted to, I could use the arrow to change the order of those pages, or I could just drag and drop. I can add more pages. So let's add a couple of more pages. I'm going to add them to the end. So I'm going to add these 2 pages, and there they are. There's this other neat thing that we can do in Manage Pages, and that is add audio to a page specifically. So, for example, I can add audio to that page, and then you can see there's a little audio button appears.
7 is amazing. Let it be heard.
Very cool. So there you go. That's as far as I've got so far, but there's lots and lots more that I want to play with. And then you can actually save the book, and when I double click on it, it brings up the book. Pretty amazing, hey? So I didn't write a single line of code. I kept asking, and Claude kept saying yes. So this isn't about AI replacing creativity. It's about AI removing the technical barriers that stop creative people from making things.
Thanks, Dave. I think that's a perfect example of AI and a tinkerer. Dave identifies himself as a theatre maker, but also a tinkerer. So a tinkerer is, somebody that likes to play, manipulate, and tinker with things. And that's exactly what I was seeing in that video. Dave tinkering with an idea that just kept evolving.
Like, so excited for that because, I mean, on one front, I have an unattended hobby of making pop-up books, like physical pop-up books, and I'm still learning that. But it's such a time-consuming skill, and the idea that I could have an output quickly, even if it's for myself, is kind of like being able to meet my own creative need, and the idea, the need to test something and see if it can be created in a way that doesn't require me to, invest 50 or 60 hours in trying to get a few pages to work. So the idea that I was like, being able to have an output quickly is really exciting.
Okay, so yeah, this is me and Dave having a discussion about a task that I had that I didn't really want to do. I've put it off for about 2 years. And, it would have taken me, maybe 2 weeks to pull together. But what I really took away from it was how nuanced it could get in getting into the mind of a 4-year-old. So I was really able to hone in on that, which, I thought was quite special.
Hi, Steve.
Hello, Dave.
What have you been doing?
I've been working on creating a teacher resource to accompany The Boy and the Ball, which is a solo non-verbal theatre performance for 4-year-olds that is presented in Adelaide, around Australia, and occasionally overseas. And it's been on my list of things to create a teacher resource, and I've just always put it off. And so I've now started that within the Claude Pro Plan co-work platform.
Yeah. Great. So what have you done so far?
So I created a brief.
So in co-work, you can actually ask Claude to access folders in your own system on your computer, which is a new thing. Mm-hmm. So what did you do?
I created that folder on my desktop. So I've uploaded the resources into that one folder.
How do you get Claude to know where that is?
Within the conversation field, there's the arrow. So I click on that, and that opens up my desktop. So I'm going to open and upload that.
Can you describe what's happening?
So now I'm getting a response saying sending message ... So it's thinking.
It's a thinking partner.
Okay. So it said thought process. Let me view your production photo first. Hey, what a wonderful photo. I can see a performer sharing a moment with a child using a ball, cardboard tubes in a classroom setting. This gives me great context for the resource. Let me now create improved versions of both documents, embedding your actual production photo with better layouts. So I say something, it says, I think what I'm hearing you say is this, that very efficient closed loop communication.
And the great thing about it is that it's available at any time.
Yeah. So the boy and the ball teacher's resource, insert main production photo here.
Right.
So
it will do that.
it said choose 6 relevant photos. It's got, space for 4 so far. Anyway, it says about the show, The Boy and the Ball is a playful, heartfelt theatre experience for children aged 3 to 5 years of age. Through gentle storytelling, movement, and music, a boy discovers a ball and a beautiful friendship begins. Together, they bounce, roll, fly, and play, exploring trust, sharing, and the joy of making a new friend. This resource contains activities for teachers and educators to explore before and after attending The Boy and the Ball. Activities are designed for 4-year-olds and align with the early years learning framework. I hadn't asked her to do that, but that's great. And before the show, prepare your class for the theatre experience. Sit together in a circle and talk about friendship. What makes someone a good friend? Can you name one friend and something you like to do together? Yeah, so Claude's still processing. Yeah, it's inserted 1 photo. It's got a place for another 3 photos, which is what I asked it to do. Explore different ways of playing with the ball. 1, roll a ball gently to your partner. Play music and pass the ball. When the music stops, the child holding the ball says their name and their favourite colour. I would tell Claude, better thing there is something they like to do with a friend. Friendship, as opposed to bring in colour. Then it goes, I can see the PDF has layout problems on page 2 and 3. The activity text is all crammed.
Critical thinking about its own work. So keep going.
Both documents are polished and ready. Here they are.
And that's it. Beautiful. Okay, well, hopefully we'll be with you in a fortnight's time with something new. And Susan, I know you were very busy at this moment, which is why I didn't push you in any way to be involved today. When does your show get up?
Just under 2 weeks' time.
Right.
But our world premiere of the Greek Zodiac Race. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Cheers for that. Okay, thank you so much for your participation and involvement, and we'll catch up soon. Bye all.